All right, welcome to Station 8. You are doing a spectacular job. And in this station, we are going to work with 3D shapes. So in the last station, in Station 7, we were dealing with angles, but those were all two-dimensional pictures. So those were lines, angles, flat things. Now we're going to be talking about three-dimensional shapes. We're going to be talking about volume. So in this problem, it says use the diagram and information below to find the radius of the cylinder. Round your answer to the nearest whole number. So if you think back to last year, when we're talking about three-dimensional shapes and their volume, they're always going to give us these three equations. This is the volume of a cylinder, the volume of a sphere, which is like a ball, and then the volume of a cone, like an ice cream cone. So a cylinder is like a can, a sphere is like a ball, cone like an ice cream cone. So the first thing we need to do is decide which of these equations we're going to use. In this case, we're dealing with a cylinder, something that's shaped like a can, so we're going to use the cylinder equation. So I'm going to write down my equation. The volume of a cylinder equals pi, which is a number that's a little bit more than 3, times the radius squared, times h, which is the height. So the radius is this measurement from the center of the circle to the edge, and the height is obviously how tall my cylinder is. So in this case, it says the volume of the cylinder to the left is 144 pi centimeters to the third, or centimeters cubed. So in these problems, the first thing I'm going to do is plug as many pieces of my equation in as I can. So in this case, I have the volume, so I'm going to replace V with 144 pi. And on the other side, I'm going to replace the h where I see the height. So I'm going to leave the pi here. I'm going to leave my radius squared, and I'm going to plug in a 4 for my height. My cylinder is 4 centimeters tall. So now I'm going to put my train tracks down, and my goal is to find the radius. So my goal is to get this little r all by itself. Now there's a lot going on here, so there's a few steps. The first thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by the number pi. Remember, pi is 3.14 approximately. The first thing I'm going to do is get that out of my way because I see that there's a pi on both sides. So pi divided by pi, just like any other number, that would cancel out. And pi divided by pi on this side, just like any other number, would cancel out again. So now I'm left with 144 equals r squared times this number 4. I still have that 4. So the next thing that I'm going to do, this side of my equation says r squared times 4. So just like I did in my other equation solving, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So this is all being multiplied, so I'm just going to keep dividing. So I'm going to get my calculator out, and I'm going to do 144 divided by 4, and I'm going to get an answer of 36. So I have 36 equals r squared. Now I'm getting so close to having r by itself, but I still have this squared term with it. So r squared, remember, is the same as saying r times itself, r times r. So what I need to do is decide what number times itself equals 36. So in my head, usually I start going through my doubles. 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, all the way till I get to an answer of 36. The other thing that you can do on your calculator is use what's called the square root symbol. So find that on your calculator, type in the square root of 36, and if you didn't know, you would get that r is 6. 6 times 6 makes 36. So I just found that the radius, this measurement right here from the center of the circle to the edge, is going to be 6. And I can add centimeters here because I know that we're measuring in centimeters. So the radius of my cylinder is 6 centimeters. So in this station, what you're going to do is when you find your problems, the first thing you have to do is decide, am I talking about a cylinder, a cone, or a sphere? And then the next thing I would do is plug in all of the pieces that I know. So in this case, I was able to plug in the volume, and I was able to plug in the height. And then from there, it really is just a bunch of dividing. There's a lot of dividing to do because everything is being connected in these equations by multiplication. So step 1, figure out which one of these equations you're going to use. Step 2, plug in all of your known measurements. And then step 3 is going to be just divide, divide, divide until you have r all by itself. Remember, when you get to r squared, that's not quite all by itself yet. You still need to take a square root. All right, happy solving. Ask your teacher for help if you need it.